Last year, HRMI launched its International Remote Internship Program, which has extended the HRMI team into many different corners of the world. The internship program has been run ably by Talia and her team. However, it was always regrettable that we had no interns from the Pacific able to participate in the program. This is down to many reasons. Internships, of course, as we all know, is not really part of study programs that we have in this part of the world. Moreover, it's, let's be real, many of our institutions in our region are operating with very limited resources. So it's absolutely incredible for our team to be able to announce the launching, which we actually did last week, of HRMI's first cohort of Pacific interns through the USB HRMI Pacific Internship Scholarship Program. 9 students based at the University of the South Pacific campus in Samoa have now officially joined HRMI's team, and the cohort's participation is sponsored in partnership with New Zealand's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. I'm going to bring my friend Rona back onto the call here, who has been working with myself and Talia to get this program off the ground. But before we get to Rona to speak, we have a special short video from our interns in Samoa to play for you all now.
Kia ora everyone, my name is Tino.
Hi, I'm Siniva.
Hi, I'm Lino.
I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Otto.
Hi, I'm Taz.
I'm Peggy. Hi, I'm Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Faye.
And we are your HRMI interns from USB Samoa.
Yay!
Mahalo for the amazing interns team. And I know you're tuning in from our beautiful Samoa, and I really wish you all the best on our internship journey. Now, Rona, I think you are on this call. Has Rona been promoted now to a panelist? Rona, are you there?
Not yet, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Rona. Is your camera not working?
Sorry, this is a small island developing state, so it's developing, and so is my brain at the moment. Hold on, just give me 1 moment. Where is my video?
Well, I mean,
I'm sorry, guys.
If we don't manage to get it on, it's all right as well. The main thing is that we get an opportunity for you to speak on this incredible partnership that we've developed here. I just wanted to ask you 2 very quick questions. Once you get the opportunity to introduce yourself a little bit for everybody. So maybe we'll just carry on, Rona. It's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can carry on.
Sure. So I really wanted just to ask you quickly, what benefits do you think this will bring to your students in terms of being able to participate in this internship scholarship program?
Several benefits. I think you've already touched on one of them already, and the fact that internships and part-time jobs are not usually available for university students or students in general in the Pacific, and Samoa is no exception. And this internship benefits our students as it provides an opportunity to experience what it's like to earn as they learn, because this is something that we take for granted. Sorry, I did high school and tertiary studies in New Zealand. So when you're studying in places like New Zealand, you have opportunities to access part-time jobs. So this is a wonderful opportunity for our students, and not just that, but for them to be able to participate in something that
I think we're having some technical difficulties, Rona. Maybe we'll come back if we get some more time, but I'm mindful that we do have a tight program that we're trying to run through. So at this point,
our internet access is very, very poor. Ah, am I on?
Yes, you're back.
Oh, here we are.
So I guess
where was I?
Yeah, well, I'll ask you a follow-up question then. So in relation to obviously the benefits that this brings. Oh, there you go. My Lord.
Sorry, guys.
My follow-up question, Rona, is basically just around what benefits you see for the students' participation in this internship program in terms of the status of human rights awareness in our beautiful Samoa. What are your thoughts on that?
So human rights as a concept here in Samoa usually is frowned upon when you doing surveys. So involving students that are studying law and are doing undergraduate degrees here in Samoa also means that we're exposing them earlier on to immerse them in a program where human rights is discussed and they have access to learning from experts such as yourselves about how to collect data on human rights and how to use the analytics from those data appropriately. In Samoa, we are very challenged in terms of access to the internet, and there's a huge digital divide, which means that the digital literacy in Samoa is quite low. What that means is when people have access to information, usually we don't have the literacy to decipher what is real data and what isn't. So this is a useful opportunity for Samoan students to participate in how to collect human rights data, not just human rights data, but human rights data that's relevant to their context. Yeah. And I think that's really important, and that's what makes the USP and HRMI internship so significant and so important. It's because our students are participating in learning about a global issue, but that has local impacts. So we're very grateful here at USB that not only has HRMI enabled some of our students to participate in internship and part-time work, but not just that, but expose them in a network of experts that will help them learn as they progress through the internship. So I just want to say thank you so much, Talia and Dr. Patrick. This has been months of discussions and meetings and also trying to figure out how to make this work. As soon as Patrick, we were able to launch this as soon as the funds were available, because it's been months of passionate work that has been injected into this. And I'm really grateful to be part of HRMI, because I think when you're part of a group of people who have the same mindsets and have a united goal to achieve something, everything kind of falls into place and nothing is difficult when you try to implement and to launch. So I'm very grateful on behalf of USB. We're very grateful to the work that our colleagues, I can call you colleagues now, are doing in HRMI. And I look forward to seeing this program, not just for Samoa, but I think what I'm really hoping for now that you've made me a board member of the Pacific module is to see this roll out in the rest of our Pacific nation. So I'm excited for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rona Mahalofa Petai, and that's also something that we're hoping that we'll be able to secure. And I think we do have some representatives from MFAT who are on this webinar, and we'd also like to express our gratitude to them for, you know, providing the funding for us to be able to have this program in Samoa, and we hope that we can develop this in other parts of the Pacific. So now, after a lot of introductory work, we're going to move into the part that I think most people are really excited about, and this is what you know, we've been working on for the past few months, and which is, of course, the launch of our Pacific module data on the rights tracker. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Anne-Marie and Sam to take us on a tour. So over to you two.
Well, thank you, Patrick. So we are very happy to announce that the data is now available on the human rights tracker available via our website, and you are able to navigate there and explore the countries that have participated there. And so we're very excited to see that. Anne-Marie is going to guide us. Well, I'm going to ask Anne-Marie a series of questions to kind of give us some insight on how we can guide ourselves through the website and utilize the data in ways that we can look at interesting things for us to have a look at. So Anne-Marie, are you able to share your screen with the rights tracker itself?
Yeah, can you see that, Sam?
Yes, yes. So let's say, for example, if I wanted to search up a specific country, say, for example, the Cook Islands, how can I go about doing that?
Yeah, great. So first thing I'll just mention is that this is rightstracker.org. So you should be able to all find it yourselves. And it is multilingual. So if there's anyone from a francophone country in the Pacific, you can also explore it in French language. So to look for a particular country, there's 3 ways really you can do it. You can either go to the country menu. You could scroll down and find your country or type the name in here. You could go to the search menu, or you could type the country name in if you're on the home page right here. So which country would you like to explore, Sam?
Cook Islands.
Cook Islands, yeah. Great. So when you come to a country page, every country page has a photo. This one is particularly beautiful, really makes me want to visit the Cook Islands. The website will always default to this at a glance tab, which gives you a really high level overview of the scores that are available on the rights that we measure for right across the world. So that's the economic and social rights and the civil and political rights. To see the Pacific module data, you need to move right across these different tabs, and you can get more information about economic and social rights here, more information about civil and political rights here, people at risk. This tab here, Pacific region data, if we click on that, that will then show us the responses from the Cook Island expert survey respondents from this year to these 5 particular themes that we asked about: climate crisis, Indigenous sovereignty, Indigenous land rights, cultural rights, and right to freedom from violence in the community. Is there one of these in particular that you'd most like to explore, Sam?
Yes, so if we're able to jump to, say, for example, Indigenous land rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to click here. And what you see here is you see the response, the average response of all the Cook Island respondents to a question that, this is not the exact question that was asked in the survey, but it's very similar. To what extent do Indigenous communities in the Cook Islands have possession and enjoyment of their traditional lands? And for the Cook Islands, the response, the average response was kind of halfway between moderately and highly. And then underneath the chart, and you can find this for every country and for every right, there's some more specific detailed information that survey respondents told us about the specific context for their country. How does that look to you?
Yeah, looks good. Thank you for that. So yeah, so I just want to note that there's 2 sources of information that we can look at here. So the qualitative responses here, these qualitative responses were optional. So not all expert respondents would write something in there. And so if they did write something in there, the thematic analyses that were done were based on those responses there. And again, it depends on the number of respondents that we get from each nation as well. So some larger nations have more responses, some smaller nations have less responses. And it's great to see that there's information there across all of them as well. If we wanted to, for example, because we know that some nations, because of these small responses, we were unable to provide qualitative data. Just so we had to ensure the protection of the identities of our respondents in there. So are we able to look at Niue to see an example of what that might look like when there is a small or limited number of responses?
Yeah, absolutely. So to navigate from the Cook Islands to Niue, I'm just going to click on this country menu and start typing in the name of the country. And I'm going to select Niue. And again, I'm going to navigate from this at a glance tab all the way over to the specific region tab. And then what you see here is, again, like we saw for the Cook Islands, there's a numerical score on each of these, but as you just mentioned, Sam, there's no detailed information available. We just have this sentence saying, due to limited responses, we are unable to provide additional information on this topic. So that's, and I would say that's in large part reflecting the very small population of Niue and the fact that we probably didn't get a lot of responses.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for that. And so earlier Chad mentioned that we're able to look at comparisons across Pacific routes, specifically in reference to the rights for freedom from violence with the Pacific region. So how can we go down to the violence data?
Yeah, so I'm just scrolling down the page, and the violence chart is at the bottom of this page. And so you can see we have this little chart which showing to what extent are people in Niue free from violence in the community, and the scores for the 4 different people groups: children, people with disabilities, MVP, FAF, rainbow communities, women and girls. And for each country, for each group, we have a score, and it's expressed in with a confidence band around it. And if you want to compare how Niue is doing compared to the other countries in the Pacific, which of these people groups would you particularly like to explore the cross-country comparisons for?
Can we look at children?
Okay, so if I click on children, this panel pops up on the right-hand side. Here you can get information about, for example, the fact that it's the UN Convention on the Rights to the Child that really set out the children's right to be free from violence. If we click here, Explore Children for All Country, this takes us to the page with scores on children's right to freedom and violence for all the Pacific nations that we have that data for. And you can see that Niue is at the top of the list. So it's, it's the more safe end of the spectrum compared with the other countries. At present, these are ordered from more safe all the way down to less safe. If you wanted to see it in the other order, you could click from descending to ascending. And I want to just say something quickly about making cross-country comparisons. And this is something that Chad talked about a little bit earlier, is that our methodology for the civil and political rights and for these right to freedom from violence data have been explicitly designed to allow you to make valid cross-country comparisons. But what you see is that the score for each country is expressed within this uncertainty band. So if we were to compare Niue, for example, with a score of 7.2 to Tuvalu with a score of 5.9. Although it looks like 7.2 is significantly higher than 5.9, 5.9 is still only just below the bottom of the Niue uncertainty band. And so we can't say with an extremely high level of confidence that Niue is performing better than Tuvalu. We can, however, say that Niue is performing better than all the other countries that are shown here.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think that's really important note to make. I noticed there's a 2020 data there, and so are you able to show us how can you flip back and forth between 2019 and 2020? Yep.
So just click on this little left arrow, and that allows you to spin, to toggle between the 2 years of data, because we've run the survey now in the Pacific for 2 years. And the other thing I'd point out is that you can also sort not only by score, you can sort by name, which is then going to put all the countries in alphabetical order. What's actually reverse alphabetical order. You could switch that around by clicking on that button. And you could also sort by population, for example. So here we have it from the smallest size down to the largest population country, which is Australia. And you can also sort by GDP per capita as well. And I guess that's the other thing I'll point out is you can get to this information from a country page, which is what we did before, but you can also get to it by exploring the rights menu. And if you click on the rights menu, you can scroll down through all the rights that we have data for. So all of these economic and social rights. Then we have all of the civil and political rights. And at the bottom of the list, we have rights to freedom from violence for the 4 groups that we're measuring. And so you could switch from children to people with disabilities by clicking on that button there.
Yeah. And again, you can sort that by population and GDP and name. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. And so we have got quite a number of countries on there for 2020, a little bit less in 2019, but again, so I encourage everyone watching to have a play around with the rights tracker and look at specific countries to kind of see how they are performing in relation to other Pacific nations, and also to get some insight into the responses that we are getting from our expert respondents as well. And so how can we, if we go back to again navigating to a specific country, no,
I can do that. I think were you going to ask from this chart, you can also go to a specific country?
Yes.
Yeah, so if, for example, you were interested in exploring the results for Samoa, you could click on Samoa here, and then in the right-hand panel, it'll allow you to navigate directly to the Samoa page. And again, when you first land on a country page, you're always going to be on the At a Glance tab. If you want to look at the Pacific module data, just jump over here to the Pacific region tab.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And we're really excited to be launching this because it is the first time that all of this information has been available on the rights tracker. So it's really exciting.
Absolutely, yes. So yes, it's the first time it is available on the rights tracker. Last year's data was available via the Pacific report, but now we can see some of that information available on the rights tracker as well. So we really encourage those of you who are looking for data to use it in your work to do go into this, look at specific countries, look at specific rights that you are interested in. There's the Pacific module data there that answers questions specifically for the Pacific region, but there's also the other rights there, the civil and political rights and the economic and social rights, so we can have that global comparison as well. Thank you very much, Anne-Marie, and thank you again to the entire HRMI team for your hard work and dedication that went into putting all of that together as well.